All right, well, good evening, class. My name is Kevin Hay, and tonight I'll be introducing you all to a man by the name of Alan Woody, not to be confused with this guy. That is Woody Allen. And so just as an introduction, Alan Woody is probably most well known as an American bass guitarist who played for the Allman Brothers Band in the 80s and 90s. But as you're going to see in the following video, and you'll hear about more in the presentation, Woody also played for another well-known band, which is called Gov't Mule. And so as you watch this video, you'll see Alan Woody in the right-hand side of the screen playing the bass guitar.
Please give a nice welcome to Gov't Mule.
But you just can't help yourself. See, you wanna feel special, yeah. I wanna make you feel like everybody else. Take away your freedom, strip away your pride. Since you know you want fun with the blue blood sun, so take your place in line. Where's my mule? Where's my 40 acres? Where's my dreams that you emancipated? To live this way, might as well meet my maker. Where's my mule? Where's my mule?
Alright, so Alan Woody was born on October 3rd, 1955 in Nashville, Tennessee. He was the son of a truck driver who was a huge fan of blues and country and rock music, especially the oldies. And so as a child, with the combination of being raised in Nashville and being exposed to a lot of that really soulful music, Woody started to gain an appreciation for that style at a really young age. And in fact, by the time he was around 14 years old, he started to become a really big fan of the Beatles, as many were at that time. And specifically, he was inspired by Paul McCartney of the Beatles, who played the bass guitar. So much, in fact, that he decided to pick up the bass himself and start learning to play that instrument. And then not long after that, Woody heard this band on the radio from a place called Macon, Georgia, that played this really funky style of southern rock, which included elements of blues and jazz and country music, and that group was called the Allman Brothers Band. And their style was essentially this combination of all the best genres of music that his dad had raised him on, and so it really struck a chord with Woody in that way. And he took his love for that style of music with him as he went off to college at Middle Tennessee State University, where he majored there in music. After that, he studied at Vanderbilt's Blair School of Music. And although I'm sure that his education at those schools really helped him in his understanding of musical theory, the place that actually brought him his big break in the music industry was actually a guitar shop where he worked for 8 years after he graduated, because at that guitar shop, not only did he meet a number of top musicians in Nashville, but one day he met the former drummer of a band we've all heard of, Lynyrd Skynyrd, whose name was Artemis Pyle. And so Woody's first big break as a bass guitarist was in the Artemis Pyle Band, or APB, and that didn't last very long, actually, because through his association with Artemis, he met a member of his favorite group as a teenager, the Allman Brother Band. And it just so happened that the Allman Brothers had experienced a few deaths of its members. Two of them were actually bass guitarists, and so they encouraged Alan Woody to audition for the band. And in 1989, he joined them. And during his time with the band, they had a huge amount of success. But after about 5 years, Woody and another guitarist from the band named Warren Haynes they started kind of to feel that the band was lacking a real drive and desire to play new and exciting music. They were missing the passion that came along with playing music. And so they decided to go out on their own, find a drummer, and form a side band. And they named that band Gov't Mule, which is the band we just saw in the video. And Gov't Mule became so successful with really a huge cult following from the beginning that after just a few years, Alan Woody, along with Haynes, left the Allman Brother Band and began touring full-time with Gov't Mule. And together with Alan Woody, they would record 3 albums together as Gov't Mule. But on Saturday, August the 26th of the year 2000, just a week before the band was set to go back on tour, 2 of the 3 band members received a phone call they say that they will never forget. Alan Woody was found dead in his room at the Marriott Courtyard Motel in Queens, New York. An autopsy was conducted on his body, with the cause of death never being publicly confirmed, which of course led to a lot of speculation. But some sources close to the family said that his cause of death was actually a heroin overdose, and he was 44 years old when he passed away. Today, believe it or not, Gov't Mule is still putting out albums, going on tour, and has quite a following. After Woody's death, they took quite a while before making any permanent plans for his replacement, even putting out 2 albums called The Deep End, Volumes 1 and 2, using a variety of bass guitarists to help fill Woody's role. And with all that said, there was really little I could find concerning his spiritual life or what he believed. You can look at his song lyrics and kind of get a general idea of his worldview, which really seemed to be the typical good old Southern boy mentality. He knew enough about God and enough about sin to acknowledge that they were real. In almost every picture you find him, like many other musicians, wearing a cross around his neck. But there doesn't seem to be any indication that he surrendered his life to Jesus Christ before he died. But I guess if I could summarize his spiritual life with a single quote, I would use the words he spoke in an interview with Guitar.com, because it really seems to emphasize the extent to which the gospel impacted his life. And there, in that interview, he said to them, let's face it, all the musical styles of America were basically born in black music in places like Memphis, the blues, and jazz down in New Orleans. You've got rock and roll and gospel. Those are the only styles we have to call our own in America. And by the grace of God, they came from the South. Thank you, guys.